Hello, comrades, and welcome to next warship, yeah? No, I'm not going to be doing that one anymore. Well, not on YouTube anyway. So, guys, welcome to another model review and all that stuff. So, guys, today I'm talking to you about the last of my modernish warships for now, until further notice. But at the end of this video, there will be some information for you in regards to what will be happening next. In the meantime, guys, let's talk about the last of my modernish warships for now, which is the Guided Missile Destroyer Project 956 Sovermenny class destroyer. And my god, what a beast. What a beast for her time. Okay, so there's a bit of one thing, there's a bit of another thing going on with this one, guys, because I must say, I did not anticipate getting anything to do with Russia's newest warships. Mainly reason why is because I didn't think there were model kits of anything like that out there. So obviously once I found out about one or two particular kits which have got my interest, I was hooked on the idea of getting my hands on a couple of, Russia's finest of the time, really, if you like. And sovermenny here is the first one of that type. So does it mean you'll be doing other Russian warships, Baz? Yes, but not too many, guys. I don't have too much of a taste for certain ships, but for those who are wondering, yes, there will be at least maybe two more, but we will see how we go with this. So, first of all, let's talk a bit about sovermenny's history, her build-up, her size and all that stuff, and we will go from there. So first and foremost, guys, I have had a hard time trying to find a lot of information out about this particular warship. She has been a bit of a nightmare when it comes to trying to find some details on her. Wikipedia has been the only place I've been able to do any modern warship stuff on, guys. So I do apologise for any lack of detail, as you know, especially when in regards to things like the Ticonderoga and the Montrose so far. I do apologise for some of my lack of detail, guys, but I also do thank those who have left comments giving some gap filling, so to speak, because, you know, I'm not going to lie to you and say, yeah, this ship destroyed the Death Star, yeah, this ship sunk a load of ships, this one saw torpedo boats, quote unquote. We're looking at you. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you guys about things. I'm going to tell you as it is, what I found out, and just leave it at that, because that's all I can really do. But nevertheless, let's talk about Russia's most modernish destroyer, apart from the Udaloys, and one or two others that are sitting or floating out there mainly. So sovermenny is the lead ship of her class, and she would be one of 17 to start with to be built for the Russian Navy, well, Soviet Navy, considering that this thing was built during the Soviet Union's era. 4 of them were given to the PLA, that's the People's Liberation Army and Navy. And that's basically the major parts of the details. But the sovermennys were called the Project 956 projects, or the Saich or Buzzard type ships. These ships would be the anti-surface warships for the Soviet Navy in the time. Now, the bits I do know is that obviously Russia had lots of ships that could fire missiles, which was practical, but not too practical if you need somebody to do, I don't know, landing craft situations, protect ships, you know, a bit more in sea, ships against other ships sort of situation if they couldn't defend themselves. I mean, you can launch a missile, but the thing about missiles is they're usually long-range things. You need something that can get close and personal if necessary. And it's kind of interesting because this idea would follow into another ship, as far as I know, which was the Slava class cruisers, but we'll talk a bit more about those later. So, yeah, they're anti-surface warships, and sovermenny was the first of many. No pun intended there, really. The sovermenny's lengths were 511 feet 10 inches, or 156 metres. The beam was 56 feet 10 inches, or 17.3 metres, and the draft was 21 feet 4 inches, or 6.5 metres. Had a top speed of 32.7 knots, or 36.5 miles per hour. So these things were fast. Very dangerous warships. Had 2 shaft steam turbines with 4 boilers, 2 turbo generators, 2 diesel engines, and they could produce a whopping 100,000 shaft horsepower or 75,000 kilowatts of power. So these things were strong ships for their time. Crew was quite small for a ship of this size, about 350 enlisted men and women and officers and all that lot. And the weaponry was two dual AK 130mm naval guns in double-barreled turrets, so she had one on the bow and one on the stern. And the ship was basically built around these guns because that was the major idea for the sovereigns, from what I can tell. But she'd also carry some very dangerous weaponry among those. You guys can see them. There are some Sea Whizzes on here as well. They are 30mm AK 630 Sea Whiz guns. So there's some very powerful and very big miniguns. Very, very dangerous. She'd also carry 46 224 SAN7 surface see what I mean? I had so much trouble. She also carried a four-barrel, that's these things right here, which is the SSN-22 Sunburn anti-ship missile. So yes, those launchers, you have two of them per side. They're quadruple-barreled launchers in the front there. And then the other missiles I was referring to are these ones right here. So these are the doubles. I'm not quite sure why they're doubles though, because the launchers seem to carry one missile each. So, yeah, not sure what's going on with that one really. But she'd also carry stuff to deal with anti-submarine equipment. So she'd have torpedo launchers. There's one in the middle here. There's one on the opposite side, guys. These are 533mm torpedoes, double-barrel tubes. And to hurt a submarine even further, she'd also carry two 6-barreled RBU 1000 300mm anti-sub rockets. So this thing is dangerous. She's absolutely dangerous. But I love her design. I love the idea of this. Don't quote me on what the two small guns in there are, guys, but I suspect they're naval saluting guns, so they're probably there for purposes of admiral coming on board or ceremony happening or saluting for some reason. Yeah, that sort of thing. She'd also carry a helicopter herself, just like Ticonderoga and the Type 23s. The helicopter in question is a KA-27, I do believe, and that's all I can really tell you. She's got a hangar where it goes into the back there, just behind the smokestack, so it sits snugly in there. It's quite a small helicopter. And yeah, it's not on there, guys, because again, I'm not too fussed about that, so I've left that one off. As for sovereign's history, that's been tricky to find. You see, I know that there have been a couple of them floating around out there and doing their business, and I know that two of them were museum ships at one point or another, sovereignty included. But as far as I could tell from today's standards, either most, if not all of them, are out of service, except for the ones that are working in the PLA. And that's basically all I can say. They're obviously these ships. So Sovermenny herself was actually built in the 1960s. I can't quite remember where, guys, so I do apologise there. But she was built during that period of time where they needed some ships like this, and obviously she was launched. And they have been with us for a very long time. So they're about 50 years old by my record of knowledge when it comes to aging with things like this. So again, don't quote me on that, guys. I don't know a lot about these ships because I can't find a lot out about them, unfortunately. I have come across, however, a couple of YouTube channels that have got into some serious, not some serious trouble, because they've got obviously the knowledge to talk about the ships. So feel free to pop along to those channels if you know them. That's basically how I'm basically learning myself. So what I don't know now, I probably already know later because I've been looking things up online, on the channels in question. Because, yeah, knowledge is power, knowledge definitely helps. But I understand that this sort of stuff is very difficult to find because, it's difficult looking at modern warships when it comes to other countries that speak, the normal language or speak a language like English. when it comes to countries like Russia, obviously the language barrier is one thing. The secrecy barrier is even worse because you just won't find much out about them. You know they float, you know they hit, you know they sink, you know they do their thing, and then they're sitting in harbour somewhere. That's the knowledge I can give you guys on things. So, let me talk to you guys about what got me to buy sovermenny in the first place. Well, it actually wasn't my first choice of Russian warship. You see, there is this thing called a Russian battlecruiser. You may have heard of her. She's called the Kirov. And for a while, the Kirov had taken my interest for quite a while, to the point where I thought to myself, gee, I'd love to get my hands on a model of that thing. She's very deadly, lots of missiles, very big, very lovely designed, very dangerous, and holy crap, she's powerful. Being a nuclear-powered cruiser, it tells you a lot that you need to know about that thing. So I was going online one day and I thought, yeah, there's no more kits out there, this thing, and there wasn't to start with. Then I found the sovermenny, and I also found the Moskva. So after finding both of these, I did a bit more digging, and I did find the ship I was looking for. But bearing in mind, once I had found her, my mind was on other things at the time. And yes, sovermenny, I'm looking at you because you are responsible for this interruption into what I was thinking of getting in the first place. Just in case you guys are wondering, I may or may not get a model of one of the Kirov class battlecruisers, guys. I remember a couple of years back I did build a 1/700 scale by Revil of the Kirov herself, but I didn't really do too much detail to it. I didn't paint it. I just basically talked about the model and what may be sort of situation. And that's basically all I got as far as that sort of thing. However, I definitely am going to get the Moskva because I do love the Slava class design. I can see a lot of detail that the Slavas have in comparing them with the sovermennys. I mean, alright, yeah, the Slavas don't carry quadruple launchers, but they carry many of those type of launchers. And, you know, they're in sets of 4 that go right to the back of the ship. Not to mention they still have the double-barreled 30mm. They still carry helicopters. They carry all sorts of other crazy weaponry. And yeah, I'm definitely going to get my hands on her because I do like that designer cruiser. But sovermenny was the first, mainly because she was the cheapest. She kind of fell into my lap. I got this model off of eBay like I did with the others. And yeah, she wasn't expensive. And I can see why. You can get this model in several different scales, all by Trumpeter guys. I've seen them going for 1/700 scale, and I think Zvezda do a 1/700 scale model of the sovermenny. And you can also get a big 1/200 scale model of the sovermenny as well. I've seen some people build that, and it's a stunning looking model kit. Seriously, if you guys are looking for a modernish warship to go in your fleet, or you want something to sit as a pride piece on your desk or display area, then I do recommend it because, well, this is a beautiful looking warship. And people can say what they want about Russian warships, about some of them in particular, but you have to give them credit. This is a sleek, beautifully designed, very dangerous, and very, you know, you wouldn't want to mess with this thing on its best day sort of warship because she looks like she could do some serious damage. So yeah, that's basically the reason why I got the sovermenny first. she fell into my lap and I'm happy with her. So let's talk a bit about the model kit, the colours and all that stuff as I do usually. So first of all guys, everything went together well in this model kit. I didn't have any major issues in regards to you know, fitting bits and pieces. The plans were easy to follow. Sprues were, there was quite a few sprues in this particular model kit, but once you got all the superstructure parts put together and then put all the secondary and main weaponry together, there really wasn't a lot to put together after that. The photo etch on sovermenny, now you're going to laugh at this because she's one of the very first kits I've actually used up most, if not all, of the sprue of photo etch on. You see, the photo etch on sovermenny is actually in the best places. You probably can tell with some of it. So the radars, both of these, and the one on top, that's all photo etched there. The tip of this particular radar over here, that's a photo etch piece. This entire structure, except for that little platform there, is all photo etch, and there's about maybe 17 pieces of photo etch altogether there. You've got 6 pieces of photo etch back here in the helicopter platform. That's obviously the netting in case the helicopter, they have an accident and it can get caught, or crew members accidentally fall. It will catch them there. And obviously, in various places, there are a couple of ladders. And I do apologise, my lighting isn't too clever on these guys. I have said this before, I know. I haven't mentioned it for a while, but lighting is a thing I'm going to hopefully be sorting in the foreseeable future. Yeah, there are ladders, so you've got one on the stern there. There are 2 more. You can probably just about see one coming into focus by the helicopter platform there. So there's one there. Excuse me, there is one sitting inside the superstructure there. I'm going to try and turn sovermenny around so you can see it. You might not see it too well, but it's right, quite literally right there where my finger's pointing, just about there. And that's basically all the photo etch this model came with. Once you were done with that, I was just like, oh wow, seriously? That was really, really painless. And considering that I had built Montrose prior to finishing sovermenny off, it was a lovely treat. Because, as I mentioned already, Montrose's photo etch sprue was just bad. It was just really bad quality. Did not recommend the photo etch on that model whatsoever. But then again, there was a lot of things about that model which I wouldn't have recommended, but I have done my best at what I can say about that one. So we've gone with what we got there, unfortunately, for some people, but that's how it is for me. So the colours of sovermenny were difficult. Now, there have been many different colours the Russian Navy has painted her in. There's a light grey, there's a dark grey, there's a really, really dark grey. Then there was another type of grey, and I was just like, oh, geez, which one do I choose? What have you done? So I looked online, and World of Warships did a video of one of her sisters. Can't remember the name too well, but they had lots of good information about the sovermennys and what they did. And this particular grey caught my eye, because I was like, yeah, that's the grey I want to use, because she looks intimidating in that colour. And I thought, yeah, this will be easy to find, not a problem. 4 days later, still looking for a decent paint, and I basically gave up and thinking, right, there's only one company in the world that can probably help me out if anything possible. Same goes for the orange, same goes for, there's just one company in question that can help me out if anything possible. So I went over to Crawley in the Warhammer shop there, because at the time I was just frustrated and I would just need to get some paints that would help with this model kit. And I found this. So obviously, guys, if you're looking at, you're trying to do this model accurate down to its paint job and stuff, I do apologise to you, but this is how my model is. And as I mentioned before at the beginning of in the rule video of this channel, my model, my rule. So she is how she is, because that's how I like her. But for those who are struggling like I did, this is the colour I used in sovermenny's hull, superstructure, and all the bits that had to go that colour. So that's the one you use for that. For the red, I used a different red on sovermenny, because when I looked up online, the Russian warships, the bottoms of them are sometimes painted green, but they're also painted with this unusual red. Well, it's not unusual, it's a darker red. My suspect is because of the region, because these ships do have to patrol. Well, they would have to patrol in very cold waters, some of them with icebergs and stuff. So I reckon that's why it's a different colour, because it would hold up better, it would last longer and make the ship last longer. So I used a Humbrol dark red for the bottom of the hull. The white is just a matte white, so I've used that on all the radars, lifeboats, and obviously the waterline for sovermenny there. The other bits of white, because I did run out of one colour, so I had to repaint some bits and pieces. You probably can't tell, and I'm kind of glad, because it would be difficult to talk a bit more about. But basically, one white ran out on me, and I ended up using a different white, which was this one. So yeah, that's why I used all the white parts, for those who are wondering for that one. And as for the deck, that was another pain in the backside. I went into Hobbycraft, couldn't find the colour, went online, couldn't find the colour, and then someone pointed out that it was a particular orange which apparently isn't made anymore, but I don't believe that for a bit. But, well, what else could I do, guys, So, once again, Crawley was the place I went, and bam, I found this one. So yeah, it turns out fur is actually a colour I use on a ship. But it works. You got to admit, it definitely works. It's got a nice sheen to it. It's got a nice reflectiveness to it, and obviously, you know, it makes her look really, really gorgeous. So I'm overly impressed with how she's come out on things in that respect when it comes to the colours. As for the decals of sovermenny, there weren't too many to put on, which I'm actually kind of glad. But there were obviously some confusion with numbers and all those bits and pieces. I'm not sure why Russia keeps doing this, but every time I've tried to look up a particular ship, they seem to change the number on these things. So I'm not sure if the one in question on here is actually sovermenny, because it says 434, and it's a decal that didn't come with this model. But 618 is apparently the number of sovermenny that was used. And then there was another number, and then there was another number. So that was the other frustration I had, was I had so many different numbers that came with the decal sheet. I got confused at which one to use, and I basically went with my gut, looked online, and I found sovermenny with that number at one point or time or in a career at times. So that's what I've used. Helicopter platforms, decal sheet went on pretty well. The name went on pretty well. Yeah, can't believe it, but that is actually sovermenny in Russian. And actually, it's kind of funny because there's a fun fact. The word sovermenny in Russian, it actually means modern. So this is a modern destroyer, because that's what you would call it if you were looking at it in the English language. I must admit, some of her sisters had cooler names like Ruthless and Relentless, and yeah, it was quite a few cooler names if you read them in the English language. But it's Russian, and that's how it is with her. You know, that's just how it is. So, do I recommend this model kit, guys? Absolutely. I recommend all three scale types of the sovermenny class. You can get, obviously the 1350 is the cheapest one when it comes to trumpeter. Their 1200 scale isn't actually too bad. I've seen one going on eBay for less than 50 quid. So, yeah, it's not a bad when it comes to a price tag. And the 1700 by Zvezda, I haven't built it myself, but I have been told it's not a bad kit. So, yeah, all in all, guys, I would recommend it either way. But if you are looking for a centerpiece and you're wanting to build a modern-ish or a Cold War era fleet as a collection of warships, I can think of maybe 3 out there, and sovermenny is one of them in 1200 scale form. But that's basically it for her. So guys, we're at the end of this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the first of the modernish warships. I do apologise, we'll see, for my lack of information for some of them. But again, the newer ships have got less information because some of them are still active. Some of them have only just been decommissioned. So it's been difficult trying to get my hands on any information, if something, to tell you guys about them. Some ships may well tell you the logistics and their size and weight and bits and pieces, and some have not been able to tell you. Ticonderoga, obviously, I know had a bit of a issue with trying to get things the right way with her weight and displacement and things, but it is what it is, unfortunately, guys. It's just the way it is for me. I think Wikipedia is probably going to be my major source of information when it comes to the modern stuff, because you just can't find it elsewhere. Anyway, so the last thing to talk about is the other modern warships I'm going to be building in the foreseeable future. So Moskva, you already know. I'm still thinking about the Kirov, and it's possibly going to be a no for the Kirov now that I think about it, guys, because it's quite a big ship, and it would take up space, and it would not probably be necessary considering what I've already got going on here. I am definitely decided I want to build a Type 42 destroyer, because I've already built the Type 45 way back when I first started YouTube a long time ago. And I didn't really like the Type 45s that much. Not a big fan of them. And obviously, as you guys probably will know if you've been looking at the Instagram page, I am building Oliver Hazard Perry at the moment. So there's more on that one to come. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this model review. I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, have a nice weekend. Look after yourselves and take care. Ta-ta for now.